All right, welcome everyone. I'm just going to give it another minute or so and make sure everybody who's waiting in the waiting room can get in. Hello, welcome. Okay, we're slowing down in the waiting room. All right. Hi, welcome everyone. All right, I think since it is 2:01, we will go ahead and get started. Most of the people who are waiting are now in and joining us. So thank you everyone for spending another half hour with us today. If you've joined our previous ThinkLab virtual series, this is the next one and we're so excited to have Erica here with us, who's head of research and content of ThinkLab. We are going to be talking about the top tech platforms to streamline your business today. So something I know that everybody wants to, talk about and learn more about. So before I pass it off to Erica, I'm just going to quickly introduce myself. My name is Corwin Thompson. I am the lead marketing specialist with Monogram. I work out of our design center, which is our flagship showroom in the heart of downtown Chicago. So speaking of tech, I just like to let all of our designers know that even if you are not in the Chicagoland area, we do virtual product consultations for you and your clients nationwide. So if you are specifying Monogram or your clients are considering Monogram, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'll be sending an email out to all of you with my contact information after this. So please utilize us as a resource. We have lots of technical advantages. One of the silver linings from working from home and during the past couple of years is that we have really transformed our showroom from a local resource to a national one. So please utilize us. If you are looking for appliances for your next kitchen design project and your client is tech forward, or you're leaning more towards that yourself, please check out Monogram Appliances. We have almost every single product integrated with Wi-Fi, so you have that ability to use them remotely from our app. And the most beneficial part of that is that our appliances will grow with your client. So we send software updates through the Wi-Fi just like your phone does. So our appliances improve over time. So just thought I would kind of connect, our topic for today with the Monogram appliances. And yes, that's about all I have from my side, but just thank you all so much again for coming today. And we're so excited for this presentation. So that being said, I'll pass it over to Erica.
Well, thank you, Corwin. And thank you everyone for joining us. I am so excited to have you here today. And as Corwin mentioned, I had research and content at ThinkLab. ThinkLab is the market research arm of Standout Design Group, and we are unique in that we are all designers by trade and researchers by choice and by passion. I do have in the chat with me today Olga, who's my counterpart, and she will be able to kind of add our survey link. So for those of you that were not able to or didn't have a chance to take the survey when you registered for today's event, we would encourage you to do so. That survey helps us to get your feedback so that we're really addressing your key needs as a part of this conversation series. But today, we're going to be talking about tech that helps streamline your business. So to get us started, I wanted to start out with a quote that came up in a recent 6-month research process where myself and my colleague Amanda co-facilitated a generative research process over a course of 6 months. We interviewed hundreds of people, mostly designers and architects in this space. And one of the great quotes that came out of this study, which was really, and the impetus for the study was, how can we be most effective and efficient as design professionals? One person said, we believe that technocentrism is here to stay in terms of how we design, how we present, and how our clients engage with their spaces. So much like Corwin just mentioned, having that ability to have technology in and throughout the design process and in the final project is certainly so omnipresent today. So as part of the survey that you all participated in, one of the questions that we asked was around just what tech platforms helped make you most efficient and effective for your business. Now, what we found was rather interesting because it came back in kind of a split manner. What we saw was that there were tech tools that were written in that really support the work of a designer, that creative process, that really tap into that portion of what you do for your clients. But then there was a whole other set of technology write-ins that were surrounding the business of being a designer and of running that business and all that's entailed in that process as well. So in just a moment, I'm going to invite my co-panelists to join me here, but I want to run through this first bit, this for the design process. So for our top mentions here, and these were unaided, some of our survey questions you get to select from a list. This one you get to write in. So the top write-ins here were Canva, House Pro, Material Bank, and Chief Architect. We know that Canva is fantastic for creating visual presentations and really elevating that, especially digital communication with your clients and pulling everything together in that way. Material Bank certainly has been incredibly influential in our industry as far as the time and efficiency behind searching and sourcing for material samples from a plethora of brands all at the same time on one platform and getting that sent to your door. Chief Architect being more of the modeling side of the interior design business and really looking at how we can visually convey those concepts from a modeling software platform. And then House Pro, many sharing tools. There's lots of marketing efforts within that platform as well. So there were really the tech platforms that were for the creative side of design. But where we want to focus today is really tech that supports the business of being a designer. So from the thousands of conversations I am privileged enough to have each year with designers and architects from across the country, and certainly in my background as a creative professional and as an interior designer as well, I think that one of the things that I hear most commonly is that we have really found our way and found a way to streamline much of that creative process. And that comes very natural to this audience, where the business side of this industry can be a bit more challenging. So, with that, the write-ins for this category were Studio Designer was top write-in, followed by QuickBooks and Asana. So I am going to invite Rachel Wagman, who is the CMO at Studio Designer, to join me. And we are going to discuss a little bit about this running your business side of the interior design industry. So welcome, Rachel. Would you go ahead and introduce yourself? And if you wouldn't mind, if there's something that comes to mind, one thing that really excites you about this moment in time for the interior design profession, I'd love to hear that as well.
Um, Hi, everyone. So nice to be here. And Erica, thank you for the intro. Like Erica said, I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Studio Designer, um, based out in Los Angeles. Most exciting thing in design? I don't know. It just feels like there's so much newness and so many new tools and solutions to help make enable designers to be more focused on design and less on some of the not so fun and sexy things about the industry. And I think that's really exciting to see, the use of technology and other solutions that permeate into this industry. So
I think that whether you're focused on the residential sector or the commercial sector of design, one thing that has proven to be true is that societally, I don't think that there's anybody in the world probably that hasn't found a newfound appreciation for the built environment in the last few years, whether that be how they want to engage in those public spaces or how they want their home to function for them. So I do think that the interior design industry is at a unique moment in time to make such impact. So give us a little bit of a history behind Studio Designer and help us understand why it's really important that this software is built not to accommodate interior designers as users, but really built with that as the primary user in mind and what that looks like.
yeah, definitely. So for those who don't know, so Studio Designer is the leading digital project management, product sourcing, time billing, and accounting platform for interior designers. So we are a fully integrated system with all of those components and much, much more. And as Erica mentioned, we've been around for over 30 years, so which is kind of insane for any kind of tech company. But obviously our product has grown and evolved over time. And even though we've made vast improvements and innovations to the system, our core purpose is really to empower the creativity of interior designers. So our product and solutions were originally designed and continue to be designed for how an interior designer runs their business. So everything from the beginning of a project where you're kind of figuring out which items you want to propose to your clients, that whole process of creating proposals and invoices and collaborating and sharing information with your clients, to accepting payments from your clients, tracking your time, all the way through to placing those orders and actually being able to run tons of different types of reports that can basically help you assess how profitable your projects are or how projects are running effectively. And all of those types of solutions exist in one place. So all that information talks to each other really seamlessly. That's a little bit about us.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think what's interesting from the write-ins was to see Studio Designer and then followed by QuickBooks and Asana. When I hear you talk about all that's integrated into that workflow, and that it does include project management, that it does include billing and accounting and all of these real back-end functions that historically you did have to have. Many designers are operating on a multitude of different software platforms to accomplish all of those tools. Do you feel like the design community knows Studio Designer for one function or another, or do you feel like it's well known that you have this full breadth and this full capability all the way to billing clients at the end? I think that's a wonderful add-in to have, and I know that that's something that if could be more streamlined, a lot of our designers on the line listening would be interested in understanding more about that.
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't know actually if we were particularly known for one thing. I think part of it is because it's not like as all the things I've described, like project management, time billing, accounting, those entities or processes don't really exist in a silo. You're not just managing a project and then moving on to time billing. All of these things are happening at once. And so there's so much, the process is so enmeshed. Um, I think, one really wonderful part about our platform is that Studio is super flexible. So if it really can accommodate kind of the multitude of ways different design firms operate. Whether they're just focusing on a certain type of design like residential or hospitality, whether designers also have like a retail business. Studio's super flexible and you can utilize certain components of all of those solutions or not, and that's fine. So it's actually, I think something really cool is it's always interesting for me to learn and see how designers are making Studio work for their business because there's countless ways, and it's always fun to hear kind of how designers, operate to make themselves be more productive and efficient on the system.
I think that's incredibly accurate. And I think that given that this industry is full of creatives, it's no wonder that we've kind of come up with a wide variety of approaching this business side of the industry. One thing that we know from our research is that roughly 3 out of 4, about 74% of Americans prioritize experience over product. And this is really true in that luxury residential space. We hear a lot from designers how the experience of working with that designer really needs to be a rich one, and that needs to be supportive of, being fast paced, making that decision-making process easy for that clientele. This is a very discerning clientele, and they want their designs to work for them, not for them to work for the designs. So how does Studio Designer support an interior designer in making that client-facing portion of the platform really a positive experience, really streamlined, and really kind of wrapping in that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, frankly, to start, I think kind of goes back to that flexibility piece, and that, again, just like every design firm operates a little bit differently, every client has different needs and desires for their experience in working with a designer. And so I think Studio offers actually a lot of different options for how you share information, like proposals and pricing and collecting payments, like facilitating all those interactions. That can be done through email, can be done through something called interactive documents. But for those clients that are, a bit more technologically inclined, and we're finding this very much increasing over the years, we have something called the client portal, which basically is a secure place that designers can invite their clients to log in, basically see like everything that relates to that project, all the products that are being proposed and considered, robust imagery, product details, more in-depth descriptions of the product. And it's kind of this like one-stop shop. So things aren't, at least for myself, and I think for many clients, it's much more advantageous than trying to hunt for all of that type of information through email and text and WhatsApp. It's just nice that it's all in one place. And the designer can add things to that client portal really easily, and the client can kind of review things all at once. That's a really fantastic tool to help kind of streamline all the many decisions and pieces of information that need to flow between the designer and their clients. But, and then for some clients are just, more traditional and they'd rather not log in anything. And that's also fine. We offer lots of great looking solutions that designers can use to share important information that helps the designer be more efficient, with creating that paperwork or documentation and being able to send it out really easily. But it meets the needs of the client as well. And that's something we're always trying to think about too, is it something that's going to make the designer work better, but also meet ultimately the needs of the client too.
Yeah. I do want to encourage anyone, if you have any questions, you are welcome to enter them into the Q&A as we speak. So we'll get to those kind of at the end, but it's by no means bad manners to go ahead and get your questions in while they're fresh top of mind. So with that in mind, I want to jump off of that client consideration, that client experience. And actually, bring to light, I'd love for you to talk to us. Keith Granette is the company's CEO. And for those who don't know him, he is very passionate about this industry because he comes from this industry. So can you share a little bit about how his perspective is really fueling the vision for studio designers and also informing all of those experiences, both for the client, for the designer who's using the platform? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So like I mentioned, studio designer's been in operation for over 30 years. In that probably same amount of time, though he may not like me aging him, but Keith has been, Keith Granite, our CEO, has been also working in the design industry. It's really been his kind of life's work to work with interior design firms and architects on ways that they can make their practices grow and thrive with better business practices. Keith's worked with countless design firms and architecture firms over the years. He leads retreats, and he's written 3 books on the business of design and the business of creativity. And he actually had always known about studio designer because he had been recommending it to his clients. And about 8 years ago, the opportunity presented itself for Keith to come and buy the business with a group of investors, and really kind of, it just like seems like it's been a perfect marriage of Keith's desire to promote and empower and enable design industry creatives with better solutions and business practices. And that's really what studio is all about, is providing a platform that enables designers to focus more on the creative side and knowing that their business is operating in a efficient and productive way. And I think that's kind of come through also in, we obviously, our core mission is creating software solutions, but we also know that, we also want to be able to share a lot of the great knowledge and expertise that Keith has and others. So we've recently published kind of an online magazine called The Work of Design. It's not about studio designer at all. It's really just covering topics that are going to be important for designers when they're thinking about growing and growing their businesses or making key business decisions, like when's the right time to hire a new employee, or how do I choose clients, or what's the right kind of things to think about when managing my profit and loss statement. So that's something that's like kind of us trying to carry through Keith's vision and ethos into providing really this holistic solution and place for designers to thrive and grow on the business side of things.
I think that comes from such an authentic place because he is such an advocate of the industry as a whole and of that design professional. And I think we have some people commenting in the Q&A, and we've got some questions about the platform from those who don't know the platform well. But I think understanding his vision and having, sat in that seat and, really understanding the intricacies of what a designer's workflow looks like, because it is different, it is unique, and it does, like you said, it's very much this, it's hand-holding throughout. And I know personally that we use, I can't even name how many tech platforms in our team on a daily basis. And I know the different bings and tings and pings and notifications for each, but it is, something that if one platform could intelligently speak to another, or if we had for our research team a platform like Studio Designer, I think that would be so advantageous. So I really think that it's something that I hope, these are write-ins from your peers, and I hope that this conversation is helpful there. Before I get to some of these Q&A questions, a bit of what I'm seeing in the Q&A is, what size business is this really suited for? And what's the learning curve?
Yeah, no, very good question. In terms of size of business, we have over 4,500 accounts. That includes over 12,000 users. So we have an enormous range of, firm types and sizes. So we have lots and lots of firms that are just one person. And then we also have many, many firms that have 20 plus employees. And I think that really speaks to, again, like coming back to that flexibility piece. One of the great things about Studio is you can make it your own. So you can join as if you're just starting out in this industry, or you've been with a larger firm for a long time and going out on your own. Studio is great because it's a really fantastic place to build up the foundation of your business and establishing really good business practices with a kind of tried and true and stable platform. But there are probably a lot of features that you don't need because you don't have employees or you're not working on certain types of projects, and that's fine. You don't have to use them. But as you grow and evolve and change, and Studio has a lot of other options that you can add in and take advantage of. So it's really kind of this solution that you can grow with, which is always really nice, because making any kind of change with a software platform sometimes can be daunting. Sometimes it's necessary, but it's nice to be able to kind of think longer term. And then in terms of, getting started, I think because so much of your business can live in Studio Designer, it does require a commitment to, getting your information into the system, learning how the core functions work. Learning the core functions is easy, but it's, making sure that you have your settings set up and you're figuring out what information you want to be including and leveraging to start. But it's like with anything is, if you take that time to, to make that investment from time and like a headspace perspective, it pays off. And we have a lot of solutions. Everyone kind of likes to learn differently. So we have a lot of kind of videos and articles for those that are a little bit more like, I want to learn at my own pace and kind of do this at my own speed. But we also have folks on our team that can help with like kind of custom trainings and services like that are more like customized just to you, or you can talk to someone on the team and help make that transition a bit easier too.
That's great to have. That was going to be my next question was, okay, so, do you have a guide to help you climb this mountain? And it doesn't sound like actually the functionality is hard at all to onboard, because most of you are doing all of these functions right now. It's probably more so just getting all of your information in there so that everything, kind of flows seamlessly. So I do want to get to a question here that we have. One person, and I'll ask if we can get the link. I believe the work of design publication is right on the Studio Designer website. Is that correct?
Yes, it's in the top header.
Perfect. So for those that wrote in about where to find that publication, go right to the Studio Designer website. But one person wrote in that they had navigated away from Asana because they found it limiting. Does Studio Designer include CRM along with the project management side?
Great question. So it's not a CRM in certain regards, but in the fact that you are managing your entire address book, your client list, and your address book also can very much be used to manage all of your vendor relationships and third parties you're working with, and keeping track of all that key information. In Studio, yes, that's very much like the CRM side of things, but we wouldn't necessarily call ourselves a CRM in some other ways too.
So you have a client management and vendor management, which is great. Portion
Right.
of software to catalog all that, but you're not pinning Studio Designer against a Salesforce sort of thing.
No. I mean, obviously, like also there's infinite number of CRM systems out there. Obviously, as a marketing person, I'm familiar with many of them, and
Yes.
yeah, you definitely get a lot of the benefits, but yeah, we're not marketing
Yes,
ourselves as CRM either.
that's fair. What about the procurement side of things? Talk to us. We've got a question here asking about the procurement side of work. I'd love to hear both procurement of services of contractors and procurement of goods. What does that look like? How does that function within the platform?
Yeah, so I mean, we sometimes say that we're an items-based platform. So it always kind of like starts with the sourcing piece. So you'll enter in all of you can either manually enter in all of the kind of product details for the items that you're sourcing. We have lots of options for including images and dimensions and other kind of pricing details, how you plan on charging for those products. But we also have a solution called Studio Capture, which basically is a really easy to use tool that works on essentially any vendor's website. And basically it allows you to pull in information about any product, pull in images, the entire product description, dimensions, pricing, whatever that looks like. And with a couple of clicks, you're able to pull in all of that information into Studio. And then from there, you're able to either reach out to the vendor and get more information on pricing or talk about customization options, or go directly to creating the proposal. And frankly, the same thing would work with, interacting with your third parties too. As long as it's entered in as an item, then you can kind of follow that same process for creating documents and communicating and things like that.
Excellent. And that Studio Capture, is that a plugin? Is that a separate application that you have to have on your computer? What, you said that you can grab it right from pretty much any website. So
yeah, it's a plugin that you can keep in your browser. Okay. And it's basically accessible from the homepage once you're in Studio to get it set up, but it takes like a second. So
yeah,
very nice and easy, which we like.
Excellent. If anyone has any other questions, I do want to be sensitive to our time, so I'll try to close us out relatively shortly here, but please feel free to enter in your questions. I'm also going to have Olga put Rachel's contact information into our chat as well, so that if you have any questions beyond this moment, because sometimes it takes us a while to marinate on all of this information before we know what questions are going to arise. So we'll connect you with Rachel should you have questions there as well. But as we kind of close out this, section of really supporting designers from a technology perspective to make them most streamlined in their business, I think I'd love for us to end on kind of what the mission is and what the future looks like, how Studio Designer is looking to really continually innovate in this space. And if you have any kind of future vision states that you want to share with us.
Yeah. I mean, I think for us, like, we are going to remain really focused on the interior designer and architecture industry. This is who we were founded to serve, and we want to continue to provide the best tools and solutions to help this industry do its best. I think we're always thinking about, like, what are other tasks or things that designers are doing that exist outside the studio designer ecosystem, so that we can just, again, integrate it more seamlessly. So things like the sourcing side, thinking about if there's ways we can help make the presentation process more integrated into studio, but also things like helping to make the process of collecting fees from or funds from your clients, but then also making payments to your vendors, helping to make those kind of transactions and processes easier to do. We have some solutions that help to do that now, but it's something we really want to focus on too, because we hear so often that that's where designers are spending a lot of time, and it can be clunky and difficult depending on how you're doing things. So we feel like there's a lot we can be doing there to add to the experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I'm going to bring up that last slide, and I'm going to invite Corwin to come back up. Thank you, Rachel, for your time. Thank you for sharing kind of what Studio Designer is about for those that new studio designer and maybe have a new perspective on how it can serve them to its fullest potential, or for those whose peers are using Studio Designer or are not. I hope that this was an enlightening conversation for you, and I hope that certainly you're benefiting from this kind of crowdsourced information that you hear from your peers. So if you have other questions, we can connect you with Rachel, but Corwin, I'm going to put up just those top write-ins again, so that if anybody wants to take a look at any of those, they are able to. And with that, I'll let you close us out.
Absolutely. Thank you so much,
guys.
Erica. And thank you, Rachel. I've learned so much.
Thanks, Corwin.
Yes, we really appreciate you spending time with us. And for all of those of you who joined us, thank you so much. And as I mentioned, I will be reaching out just with some Monogram resources. So if you have any, questions that I need to pass along to the ThinkLab team, I'm happy to do so. So thanks everyone so much, and have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you joining.
Yes.